The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Crime News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Crime News Talk. It is October 26th, 2022. We are live to tape on episode 552. And today, Cyborganic. Signing on from a text-to-speech techno-dystopia. Razzle dazzle your best buddy Robo Basil.
Okay, and my name is Gonz, your favorite in-person Asian provocateur for Christ, in the flesh, not in robo form, aka the Cabana Boy, live from California, here to serve you a podcast that brings you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And as you noticed, Basil is not well. He's around. He's not feeling well. He is sick, and so today's emergent phenomenon is sick of it all. And I'm sure a lot of people feel that way about a lot of different things. But in regards to Basil, his health, bookending his travels with some kind of sickness thing that causes him to lose his voice. So hence his text form at the beginning of the show. And throughout the episode, we will have him chiming in every once in a while. Actually, he's trying to find his voice in the sort of meta flippy robot text-to-speech robo Basil. And so you'll hear different forms of his speech. So Basil, what's going on, man? Give us a little something so we know you're okay.
I'm still very sick. Gonz.
Uh-huh.
My voice is almost completely gone.
I see.
My left ear is swollen shut.
Oh no.
And I've been advised not to push through another episode.
By who?
A nurse told me that it could permanently alter my voice.
A nurse.
So to preserve that sweet Basil vocal perfection, I'm going to have to sit this one out.
Okay.
But, as we've learned, robots can be podcasters too. So here I am. Razzle dazzle your best buddy Robo Basil.
If this is your first episode, I apologize. This is very strange. It's unusual to have the co-host speaking through some kind of robot form because he has completely lost his voice. But here we are. This is this is podcasting for you in 2022. Just the rare form, text to speech robot absence. Once we get Basil AI going, he's never going to be around in the flesh live. It's just going to be AI Robo Basil, giving us his 101s and his opinions and his rants. I'm sure the AI would love to categorize his neural, procedural, whatever goes on in that beautiful mind where he connects dots and goes on rants. The AI can mimic that. And then, we sail off into the sunset. You guys could keep listening to the show, but it's just going to be me talking to some random machine, which already feels like it to some extent. But all right. So I am solo today. Seems like it's getting more common in recent days, but that's okay. We're going to press on. Got a rundown for you.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
All right. So as the title of the episode suggests, Cyborganic. We'll start off with the death of Klaus. Oh, you might think you know which Klaus I'm talking about, but you probably don't. But also, we should educate ourselves on some of this Klaus and his contributions in the world of cybernetics. And then we will have our FLIPPY update and a spooky robot that has sort of I guess, worm-like noodle fingers. It's always fun. So we'll do a little bit of that. Our spooky, noodly fingered FLIPPY. And then the Russians, 33 of them to be exact. What are they up to? Why are they around? And then, of course, a little bit from Russia in terms of Putin calling the West satanic. We've been tracking this, but it's reaching new levels of narrative. We'll touch real quick on HAARP. That old machine that they turned off and retired. I guess it's not so much retired anymore. It's been doing some things, and they have plans to do other things. So we'll touch on that. And then we'll go real quickly through NASA's announcement of the UAP research team. It's official. We also have Neom. We talked about Neom in the last episode, I think. So there's a quick update on that. And then Monkeypox. Just a quick update on that as well. Just GOF type of stuff going on. And then we'll round out the show with an Antarctica update with Ardern, New Zealand's Prime Minister, going back and forth, being sent home and then finally landing there, and then what kind of personality it might take to be selected for an expedition to Antarctica. So there you go. That's the rundown. And let's get going with our first story.
Are you ready to become cyborg?
You are already sort of a cybernetic symbiote. Neural nets are taking over from regular programming. So you are connected.
The Philadelphia Inquirer obituaries. Klaus Krippendorff, celebrated expert on human-centered design and content analysis and Penn Professor Emeritus, has died at 90. I don't know if you've ever heard of Klaus Krippendorff, but he seems to have been a lot more influential than led on here. Klaus Krippendorff, 90, of Philadelphia, renowned expert on human-centered design and content analysis, Gregory Bateson Professor Emeritus of Communication at the University of Pennsylvania, lecturer, author, builder, sculptor, and activist, died Monday, October 10th, of lymphoma at the Hospital of the University of Pennsylvania. Large-minded, prolific as a researcher and author, and diverse in his many achievements, Dr. Krippendorff advanced the notion that communication, especially language, shapes reality. He connected theories of communication, design, and cybernetics, and his work influenced how countless psychologists, social scientists, designers, and advertisers communicate and create. Quote, because I could jump from one to the other discipline, That made me a productive contributor to all, he said in an oral history video for Penn. In a tribute, his family said, quote, he sought to create beauty through randomness and find the symmetry within chaos. Then he goes a little bit more into his history. He created the Krippendorff alpha, complex mathematical formula that measures the agreement among observers or instruments during statistical analysis, and became the standard of ensure reliable research. And then the thing that jumped out at me, it's not just sort of mentioning cybernetics as sort of a side note to his research and his whole resume here. It says at the middle of the article here, it says he reviewed publications and published hundreds of his own books, chapters, papers, and articles, including the acclaimed The Semantic Turn, a New Foundation for Design in 2005. He won the 2004 International Communications Association Fellows Book Award for Content Analysis, an introduction to its methodology, and the Information Systems Division at ICA's presents the Klaus Krippendorff Book Award in his honor. He was ICA president in the 1980s and founder and member of many organizations, associations, academics, boards, and societies. He earned honorary degrees and fellowship and won numerous awards, including the 2001 Norbert Weiner Medal in Cybernetics from the American Society for Cybernetics. Norbert Weiner is the father of cybernetics. He had that book, I haven't pulled it up for today, but he has that book that has the all-seeing eye and the triangle and the pyramid, the whole deal on the cover. And talks about loops and human behavior and how you can, basically the whole social media dopamine addiction that's been created in our world today through social media and all kinds of media. He sort of blueprinted that with his cybernetics research. And so for this Klaus to be winning that award, it means that he was right in line in terms of that kind of thinking. And so it goes in, he was born in 1932, so he lived a long life. And, he'll be missed by many of his family and stuff like that. But also, celebration is scheduled for 3:30 p.m. on October 28th. So there you go. Little side 33. But the influence of cybernetics into our society is pretty palpable at this point. Again, it sounds like a broken record, but 5-10 years ago, it was a little bit more controversial, or just kind of just crazy talk to bring up any kind of cybernetics in main sort of conversation with your random folk on the street and things like that. But nowadays, it's just more and more in our face, at least through reported media. And there's stories like this. I'll just run through a couple of them to give an idea, sort of landscape of where cybernetics is at in popular culture. It's come a long way. And this article is from Interesting Engineering, and the headline is, an engineer produces a torch-like prosthetic for his lost eye. And we seem to be moving into a time when there's a lot of eye robot type of stuff. And so there's this guy, BS Machinist, huh? Okay. So he's got this video where he, on Instagram, where he says, I lost my eye to cancer, so I turned my eye into a flashlight. I like to call it my skull lamp. And it shows him, sort of taking a selfie video in a bathroom or something with some mirrors where his eye lights up, and yep, you can shine it on the wall. You can see where he's going, I guess. He said, it doesn't get hot, and my nose and brow line completely shields my eye from the light. So it doesn't get in his way. It's more of a literal headlight. Battery life, 20 hours of functionality as a flashlight, power source, and all hardware is safely contained within the prosthetic eye. He says he engineered and manufactured these myself from solid titanium belay. I'm now 2 years in with full-time use. It is both comfortable and functional. And it shows him reading a book in the dark, able to, and then he looking right at the camera as he looks like some angelic figure, a ball of light. So, yeah. Is this science fiction? Nope. This is some dude on Instagram. And not that this dude is satanic or anything like that. Just, I don't know. But in terms of where society has taken us with technology, the merging of it, here we are. Just cyborg eye, just normal. It's just a matter of time before we have literal laser beams coming out of our eyeballs. So there you go. Other things happening out there. The New Scientist here has an article. Chip can transmit all of the internet's traffic every second. All of the internet's traffic every second. This new chip. So, yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but it says here a single computer chip has transmitted a record 1.84 petabits of data per second via a fiber optic cable, enough bandwidth to download 230 million photographs in that time, in 1 second. And more traffic than travels through the entire internet's backbone network per second. Whoa, that is crazy. Then it goes into the team that did it from Denmark. It says, first, the team split the data stream into 37 sections, each of which was sent down a separate core of the fiber optic cable. Next, each of these channels was split into 223 data chunks that existed in individual slices of the electromagnetic spectrum. So yeah, they channeled it through different shades of light, and they split it up into 223 data chunks, which is an interesting number because we have somebody on a streak. That's 223 today. But also, the longest streak, that is. But also, of course, 322 backwards, 322 being the strange number that the secret society, Skull and Bones over at Yale University seem to reference as some sort of important number. So there you go. That's kind of strange as well. But yeah, something to keep in mind. They got microchips that can channel the entire internet's worth of information in 1 second, which means our throughput is expanding, and it's happening through the light spectrum, which, yeah, I mean, talk about angel of light. Another article along these lines. See what we're doing on time here. We're good. Algorithm. This is dailymail.co.uk. Algorithm lets scientists read your thoughts by decoding brain scans and could help people who can't speak communicate with the world. Now, the irony is that our very own co-host here, Basil, is unable to speak because he's lost his voice. I told him maybe we do like a ASMR version of the show or something. Just come on and just whisper when you want to say something. But you know, he had other things he had to do. But he could use this. Hey, instead of scientists, let's replace this scientist with Gons. So I'll reread the title. Algorithm lets Gons read Basil's thoughts by decoding brain scans and could help people who can't speak communicate with the world. I think that's a good idea. Who is this company? Let's get a demo going where I get to experiment this stuff on my co-host's brain who lost his voice from too much, I don't know, it's too much something in the air. Scientists can now read your thoughts using an AI-powered model that is specifically designed to decode brain scans. The non-invasive breakthrough developed by the University of Texas could help those who are unable to speak or type to communicate for the first time. The method, however, does decode language in real time. So we've seen a lot of these theorized, but I think that the progress and the commercialization of the technology is really going to become to the forefront here. And we'll see a whole, I don't know if it's a class might be too much, or just, I don't know, a group of people that will have issues, whether it's eye cancer or some kind of health challenge, and they're going to be enhanced or restored with these sort of technologies that are being unleashed. And that will create a whole set of progressive politics and everything else, socially and otherwise, which is sounds very end timesy, you know, the whole iron mixed with Myra Clay thing, which I'll talk about in a second. But this merge, if it wasn't for, obviously the word of God tells us that this is going down, or this type of thing. It alludes to it. It's not maybe a specific thing that says, hey, for sure this translation means this, but there seems to be just things that suggest it. And then you look at what a lot of the elite folks are trying to do, and you kind of put two and two together, and it starts to make sense. And I just wanted to point this out, the idea of cyborganic or cyborganics, which is the merging of cybernetics and organic material. This is the advancedsciencenews.com. It's an article from November of 2019, so 3 years old. And the article is titled, The Promise of Cyborganic Beings. And not strangely enough, at the very top of the article is a big header of Prometheus, from the, I think it's the Rockefeller Center, that statue, that bronze statue that's sort of flying on its side and holding a flame, and it's Prometheus. Yeah. And so that would make sense that they're sort of trying to push this idea of immortality in that sense. And the article, don't want to spend too much time on it, but let's just go right to the chase where I have stuff highlighted. It talks about the dawn of cyborganics when Manfred Kleins and Nathan S. Klein termed cyborg to conceptualize self-regulating extraterrestrial humans in 1960. They would have hardly envisioned the fast track toward human-machine symbiosis with increasing level of sophistication wherein medical biomaterial prosthesis replace missing organs and revive impaired senses, which is sort of what we were talking about earlier. More recently, this beautiful marriage, interesting language, this beautiful marriage between living matter and intelligent materials is anticipated to offer the prospect of, quote, hybrid living inanimate systems that would have been mind-boggling just decades ago. These so-called cyborganic systems are bolstered by advances in cybernetics, cyborganics, and bioelectronics and represent a gateway to a brave new world in which programmed tissues and biomaterial-like machineries can unite to serve as a wall of protection against age-related diseases. We believe that these systems possess the ability to hack human biology beyond the limits of known territories and into uncharted realms. I mean, come on. They're just straight up using, I don't know, they're tiptoeing around this idea that this is more than just a simple, fun technology thing. And so when they start using language like this, it does spark some thought about passages in the Bible that I bring up all the time, but just worth bringing up. Daniel 2, which is, Nebuchadnezzar in his dream, and he sees the fourth kingdom, and starting in verse 40, as strong as iron, for iron shatters and crushes all things, and like iron that crushes all things, it will shatter and crush all the others. So it's sort of a one world type of situation. Verse 41, and just as you saw the feet and toes were made partly of fire, clay, and partly of iron, so this will be a divided kingdom, yet some of the strength of iron will be in it, just as you saw the iron mixed with clay. And as the toes of the feet were partly iron and partly clay, so this kingdom will be partly strong and partly brittle. As you saw the iron mixed with clay, so the peoples will mix with one another, but will not hold together any more than iron mixes with clay. So, I know that the standard commentary on this passage is about ancient Rome and sort of the weakening and the downfall of ancient Rome. And certainly that I actually think that there is a lot of correlation there. And just, you read it, you see it happen. It was written before it happened. It pretty much played out this way. But also the allegorical or just sort of the linguistic, poetic way in which marriage is sort of referenced. The people will mix like iron and clay, but they won't cleave to one another, or in this translation, won't hold together. That is sort of what we're talking about when it comes to this idea of cyborganics and this beautiful marriage between living matter and intelligent materials. And the progress, going back to that Advanced Science News article, 2012 was when Harvard University led a successful merger between electronic components and living tissues. The concept was termed cyborg tissue and created a media frenzy that sparked a wave of excitement regarding the prospect of regenerative medicine. In simple terms, a group of scientists propitiously developed a bioactive 3D microenvironment able to electrically probe various important psychico-chemical and biological events through its porous interior. So, okay. Basically, you can read the rest of it. It's a very detailed description of everything. But, yeah, they sort of just mixed the biomaterial with these nano wires, and they saw it sort of interface, which is kind of, obviously what we've been talking about this whole time. They sort of look like they're going to work together, but we'll see if it lasts. It'll mingle, but it won't cleave. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a crazy person talking on the internet here to a machine version of my co-host. Basil, how are you doing in your form? Oh, by the way, let's see. Where are you? Oh, one of the things that's interesting about this new world order thing we're living in is obviously gender dysphoria, you can call it. You get confused about gender. And, online technology, robo-Borg, that's not going to help. Because sometimes Basil, if he's trying to tell us something, it might come through in a different accent, different culture, different gender, So let's see. Basil, is that you over there?
It's me. Dazaru dazaru bazaru.
I see. I don't know why Basil sounds like Kyoko, the Japanese American robot lady, but this is what happens. There's things to be worked out, I guess, in this system. I don't know. I don't know, folks. I don't know what's happening anymore. I do know that it is Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Hey guys, know what day it is? It's Wednesday. Time for the Canary Cry News Stuff. Yeehaw!
It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday. It is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday, my dudes.
Dazaru dazaru bazaru.
There's Basil's update. Anything else, Basil? I think he told us what's going on, so we don't need him to repeat himself. But I do want to take this opportunity for a moment and highlight a couple things. I don't have anything too super personal. It's more show related, and there's nowhere else to really stick this. We got a couple notes from people. One was from one of our producers and old friends, ML Cook. And ML Cook was updating us on some Newsom science.
It's Newsom science, baby! Ha!
And basically, we told that story about how Newsom was funding billboards across the country because, hey, you can maybe your state has banned abortions, but hey, come to California. And so we told all of you out there, if you see it, let us know. And ML Cook reporting from South Dakota. There's a picture here of a billboard off of Lamar something. Lamar, what is this? Takeout? Logout? I don't know. And the sign reads, South Dakota doesn't own your body. You do. Learn more at abortion.ca.gov. And it shows a woman from her sort of mid-torso down, turned around in her hands in handcuffs because all those non-baby killers trying to cuff you up, folks, but come to California. So there you go. Yeah, people are seeing this. I can't believe that our governor here in California is spending money on billboards such as these, which it's just going to trigger our friends in other states. But nevertheless, there he goes. So thank you, ML Cook, for that report. We also have Nocturnal's Cowl had a quick message. This is pertaining to a story we reported on episode 550, Trust Fall, about the 3.8 million Texas students to take home DNA identification kits 5 months after Uvalde. And we have a note from Nocturnal's Cal. He says, hey guys, the fingerprint identification kit came home in my kids' backpacks today, and I thought you might be curious as to what they look like. The first two pictures are the front and back of the envelope the kits came in, and the last two pictures are the front and back of the kit itself. Hopefully the attachments come correctly. Thanks for all that you do, and may God continue to bless both of you. Nocturnal's Cowl. Thank you very much. And so, yeah, there's the Texas Education Agency. There's a box here helping protect your family. And then the other side of the box, National Child Identification Program, Offender Watch, a gift of safety from our family to yours. Over 800,000 children are missing every year. That's one every 40 seconds. Scary. And then there's the form inside, and it kind of shows, fill out name, all that kind of stuff, and then, where to put your fingerprint. And then on the back of the pamphlet here, there's a spot for physical description, which I thought was kind of bizarre and weird. It says, please use the following figures in numbered spaces to record the location and type of any distinguishing birthmarks, moles, scars, tattoos, piercings, previously broken bones, and prosthetics. It's like, wow, okay, they're getting ready for the cyborg babies or cyborg children, as well as, I guess, tattooed children and scarred. I mean, it's just pretty wild. And then the diagram here where you're supposed to, I guess, mark it up and show, hey, like this kid has a cyborg eye, like we reported on with the superhero eye girl a few weeks ago, and then also has a mechanical toe, a mechanical sixth toe, because she read somewhere in the Bible that you can have giant strength with 6 toes. Anyway, so there you go. Thank you very much. And yes, this is disturbing in some regard, but it goes back to the concept of what I ranted about a year, maybe 2 years ago, about the whole QAnon thing, which is basically that the logical end to this is some kind of data collection. And if it comes to DNA, that would help in terms of finding a lost child and things of that nature. We need everybody in the database for the safety, for your safety, because human trafficking is a serious problem. And how are we going to fight against it? The only way is to get everyone's data online before they take you, and then we'll have an online record of you, and then that way, we can scan the rest of the atoms in all of the universe and find where I don't know. This is just craziness. So there you go. Thank you very much to Nocturnal's Cowl for that boots on the ground report. But also we are going to thank some executive producers in this episode. And I think Basil, actually, Robo Basil has something to say about executive producers. So that's fun.
Executive producers.
What you got to say?
Time to thank some executive producers. We're on the value for value system.
Okay.
Which means we take no corporate money.
No, we don't.
Whatsoever.
That's right.
No advertising dollars.
Yes.
No affiliate codes.
Yeah, soak it in.
No platform partnerships. No nothing.
No nothing.
Value for value is a revolutionary model that tells the corporate overlords that we don't need them or their lizard ways.
Yeah, yes.
This show is only possible with the participation of our producers. Producers are people just like you that realize that it is all of our responsibility to take a stand against corporate profit motives in independent media.
Yes.
Executive producers are those who support the show and carry a heavy load for the rest of us. So we like to thank them at the top of the show.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Robo Basil, for the eloquent introduction to executive producerships. This is why I that's not my role. This is Basil's role, and now it's a Robo Basil's role. I just had a moment. I'm podcasting with a robot version of my co-host that I control like a puppet. Just had that breakdown, a little depressing moment. But can't be depressed for too long, because we do want to thank our executive producer for this episode 552. It's Gravemind. Gravemind, thank you so much. And Gravemind comes in with a nice round number, which is a reminder that if you want us to read the number, if you don't mind us reading the number, give us something fun, 0.33 cents or 77 cents or 88 cents, something like that. But if you don't want us to read the number, give us something whole, a whole number, like, a number plus or .00 or something. No sense. So yes, on this occasion, it's a round number, so we will keep the amount anonymous. But there's a note, Gravemind here. Last week, there was a disturbing lack of execs, so somebody's got to step up to the plate. That's right. Is there an executive producer demooching? I don't think so. but we can demooch you, Gravemind.
You've been
He continues, also, it's Wednesday, my dudes.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday.
Yes, it is. And he also says, and happy belated birthday, Basil. And once again, not here in the flesh. And all these birthday, well-to-do birthday messages for Basil. And he just has to either listen back or he's getting it through the ether. So thank you very much, Gravemind, for your executive producership of episode 552.
Where'd you find this?
Let us continue to do the show, and it is time for a Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a why to explore all the new fun and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world, and how there's nothing we can do about it. It's time for the Flippy update.
Okay. Nothing more appropriate than a robot co-host introducing the story about robot arms. And in this episode, Popular Science 150 Years headline. This spooky robot uses inflatable tentacles to grab delicate items. Ooh, spooky. There's a picture here of the spooky spaghetti-like fingers wrapped around a plant. Harvard researchers, more Harvard, huh? Harvard at it recently. Harvard researchers, remember this is a cybernetics ground zero for Cyborganics. Harvard researchers, presumably to get into the Halloween spirit of things, have unveiled a horrifying new robotic arm with tentacles capable of grasping extremely delicate objects like houseplants and glassware. The engineers at the university's John A. Paulson School of Engineering and Applied Sciences used hollow rubber tubing to craft a robot hand featuring what looked like flesh-colored spaghetti that can coil around or in its subject before winding back up into a wormy, curly tangle. And there's a video here. We'll watch a few seconds of it. They're showing some jellyfish. They're showing the claw, at the bowling alley. We got the claw machine. But taking the idea, so it's it's just a robot arm with some spaghetti noodly straps, and then they just kind of move into action. They spring into action. They kind of twirl up, and they are able to grasp onto stuff and move around and find its way through all the cracks and crevasses and create interesting random shapes around the object. So it's very it's more variable based. It's not mechanical one-to-one. It's more of a, I don't know. It's weird. It's like intelligent tentacles that are able to feel its way around, and the gripper could be used for a range of real-world applications from marine biology to agriculture. Yeah, you don't have to use your hands to grab stuff off the bottom of the ocean anymore. You can use these spaghetti noodle things. And from medicine to warehouse distribution, great. Now it's literally the Matrix, giant robot arms. Oh, good. This is from the PNAS. That's fun for those who know what that is. Robot arms often attempt to mimic human hands, which are evolutionarily primed for grasping objects thanks to our fingers and opposable thumbs. Of course, popular science saying that it's evolutionary. That said, our mammalian mitts are pretty complicated biological tools and as such are difficult to fully mirror with even some of the most advanced robotics. Instead of optimizing neural networks, sensors, feedback loops, and artificial intelligence systems, however, Harvard's project leads relied on some relatively basic concepts like inflatable tubing. Quote, "The gripper relies on simple inflation to wrap around objects and doesn't require sensing, planning, or feedback control," reads Harvard's recent write-up. Researchers came up with the idea from studying other animals, in this case the anatomy of creatures like octopi and jellyfish. Octopus arms don't inflate, but instead relying on musculature in immensely powerful suction cups with quote-unquote piston-like grip abilities, while jellyfish tentacles rely on neurotoxin venom to stun prey and snare them. Okay? Combine the muscular flexibility of octopus with the tangled abilities of a jellyfish, and you start approaching Tentacle Bot. Where's the bell? There it is. Tentacle Bot. Quote, taking inspiration from nature, researchers designed a new type of soft, robotic gripper that uses a collection of thin tentacles to entangle and ensnare objects, similar to how jellyfish collect stunned prey. The announcement continues, which isn't disturbing in the least. Okay, so even popular science sort of alluding, having fun with the season, the All Saints Day pagan season, and suggesting that this is spooky spaghetti hands on Flippy. One day the wiggly robot could work within the medical field when handling delicate tissues. Oh, good. I'm glad we are of the generation where spaghetti noodle robot fingers can dig right into your belly and just pull out what the problem is. Thank you, technology. You are so good to us. Oh, boy. Okay, so there's your Flippy. I don't even know if there's any commentary needed. I mean, it's just more of an indictment on society and where we are as a civilization. We have reached the spaghetti noodly fingers on the robot arms. And, well, you can laugh about it because otherwise you'll probably be crying. Probably both, if they're trying to pick you up. It probably tickles, so you're laughing. But also you got tears because it's the end, All right. There's your Flippy update. Let's move on to some Russia, Ukraine.
Russia.
Fight for Ukraine. New world order.
Big boom. Kyiv Post. Headline. Report identifies 33 Russian officers aiming missiles at Ukraine. War crimes possible. Okay, Kyiv Post. Dropping the 33 Russian officers aiming missiles at Ukraine, huh? Very, very specific accusation here. Let's see what it says. A meticulously researched report by the independent web news group Groups Insider and Bellingcat and a German major media magazine, Der Spiegel, identified by name 33 Russian Federation, that's RF, military service members, responsible for planning potentially thousands of missile strikes on Ukrainian homes and businesses and possibly committing war crimes in the process. Yeah, if they're if they're planning to hit civilians and stuff with thousands of missile strikes, I suppose you might be guilty or at least suspect of war crimes. Investigators used personal telephone records of members belonging to the obscure RF Army unit called the Main Computing Center. Okay, that's what they're called, Main Computing Center. To conclude, the group's primary mission is planning and reprogramming software for precision-guided missiles aimed at Ukraine. Among other tasks, the men and women of the MCC decide which munitions to use and determine weapon flight routes, according to the investigative article made public on October 23rd. Bellingcat senior researcher Christo Grozev said via Twitter that the multinational investigative team worked 4 months going through masses of telephone records and Russian Army Military School graduate archives to build a picture of the MCC's structure and member responsibilities. Practically all are highly educated military engineers and active duty officers with backgrounds in information technology, software construction, and in a few cases, computer game development, the report said. European rights protection groups said the report constituted hard evidence that should lead to war crimes, prosecutions against specific individuals. So see, sure, obviously there's always people doing nefarious things in different groups and government ties and government sponsored and government people involved in various nations across the world here, so it's not really too much of a surprise. But I do think it's just suspicious, if they're doing a sort of a research thing and they're trying to paint the picture of what the MCC, the main computing center, are up to with these 33 Russians. Finding 33 of them is very specific. Why not round it to like more than 30 or, almost 35, something like that. I don't know. It's just anytime they're so specific on numbers, it just makes me suspicious. Ukrainian reaction to the publication of the MCC's members' identities called for prosecution and even vengeance. The normally even-handed neutral UNIAN news agency wrote, quote, "The article makes public the names and faces of the criminals who, at a distance, sitting in comfortable chairs, launch Russian cruise missiles to kill civilian Ukrainians in their homes. These scum are employees of a secret unit. They are remote killers, one of the key and still anonymous actors allowing Putin to wage an aggressive war." So, yes, bad guys have a secret group trying to kill us all with their missiles, which could be said about the United States, their involvement in things around the world. We can't say that we're not guilty of such agendas and even operations. But maybe I'm just being a crazy tinfoil hat man when I say that, but I think it's pretty well documented that the United States has played a role in this type of activity for a long time. So, yeah, for us to call it out, or these independent research groups, which I understand, Der Spiegel, it's often brought up, and Bellingcat in the sort of truth-seeking type of framing, but I don't know. I tend to believe that while there is truth to all this, it's also true from, all sides in a sense. And speaking of 33, just a quick side note, Variety.com here, Amazon's Fallout series from Westworld creators gives a first look at its Vault 33. So you have Amazon, look for that show, Vault 33, not very hidden anymore, just interface. But it's all about the Satanists.
He's a Satanist from one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies.
This is the times.co.uk. We're still under the Russian topic here, specifically zooming in on Putin. The headline, "Desperate Putin portrays Ukraine in the West as satanic." Satanic.
He's a Satanist.
Losing my connection here. From imperialists to evil capitalists, Kremlin propaganda has had many names over the decades for Western countries. Now, with the Russian army on the run in Ukraine, President Putin has a new slur: Satanists.
He's a Satanist.
Man, my jingle board is not connected properly or something. Sorry. Although Putin was once a KGB officer in the official atheist Soviet Union, he is increasingly seeking to portray himself as a staunch defender of Christian values against what he depicts as a demonic and degenerate West. During a recent speech at the Grand Kremlin Palace in Moscow, Putin lashed out against the outright Satanism that he alleged was being promoted by American and European leaders. His face distorted with rage. The Russian leader described the war in Ukraine as an existential struggle for humanity's collective soul. Yes. It's got a bunch of pictures here. Putin claimed that the fruits of Satanism in the Western countries were the promotion of LGBT issues in schools. Quote, "Do we really want perversions that lead to degradation and extinction to be imposed on children in our schools from the primary grades?" he asked. Quote, "Do we really want to have here in Russia parent number 1, parent number 2, parent number 3? Okay. The popular Kremlin propaganda trope is that people in many Western countries are forbidden by law from referring to mothers and fathers and must use numerical terms instead. Okay. All right. It's always interesting when a news outlet has to build the guilty aspect. They have to build the straw man to tear it down in a sense. They always do this. They're like, well, he said this, and normal people will be like, okay, all right, what? I don't understand. Okay, parent number 1, what is he talking about? oh, in the Kremlin, the propaganda is that, in the West, we can't call parents mothers and fathers, so we have to refer to them by number. Oh, it's a conspiracy. It's a fake news that circulates Russia. But I'm sure it has to do with a few years ago. I think a lot of people remember that there was a time when progressive politics was entering social awareness, and there was a lot of people that basically started to say that referring to parents as mother and father is sexist, and it's not gender, whatever. It was the progressive argument about that fact. That's what it's referring to, I'm sure. But of course, when the UK reports it, the Times.co.uk reports it's some kind of bad, evil thing. The shift in rhetoric has been enthusiastically adopted by pro-Kremlin figures. Quote, the battle with the West is acquiring not only a military, economic, and political character, but also a religious and metaphysical one, said Alexander Prokhanov, a nationalist writer. Maria Zakharova, the foreign ministry spokeswoman, lashed out recently at Britain and other countries that had imposed sanctions on Patriarch Kirill, the head of the Russian Orthodox Church, a key Kremlin ally. Quote, only Satanists can impose sanctions against the Patriarch, she said. And continuing here, at the height of the Cold War, it was common for American politicians to describe the Soviet Union as a godless nation. In 1983, Ronald Reagan labeled the communist state an evil empire whose abandonment of religion meant it was doomed. 4 decades on, history has come full circle, but does Putin really believe that Western countries are ruled by a cabal of cackling Satanists? Analysts say this is unlikely. Okay, so they're saying, or at least they're reporting, that analysts, which is a funny word to have there, analysts, are saying that Putin doesn't actually believe that the West is satanic. It's just part of his propaganda speech and to try to rile up the conservative crowd in Russia and the whole deal, which may or may not be true. It doesn't even matter, because the blueprint for a radicalization using religion type of system was found in the United States. I mean, it's happened throughout history, but more recent history, close to home in America, we've covered it. It's sort of the roots of Christian nationalism, where the Psychological Strategy Board, created by Truman in the 40s or late 30s and 40s, basically created a program to influence a generation through church leaders and pastors and everything else across the country to weaponize them, to have a Bible in one hand and a gun in the other. There was a giant American psyop. So given the context of how well that worked during the Cold War and all that, and the atheist enemy of Russia and the Soviet Union, now it's sort of just, again, musical chairs. They're just different, same tactics, different players. Now Russia is using that whole religious war language, and they've done it very well. They've really appealed to a certain type of thinking and drawn sympathy from a lot of conservative people in the West here. Maybe not, and it becomes difficult because a lot of people aren't necessarily like supporting Putin. They're just saying like, yeah, we tend to kind of agree with his sort of outlook on the state of the world and the West being kind of satanic in a sense. I mean, if you want to root it biblically, everywhere is kind of satanic. The prince of the power of the air, the rulers, the authorities, they're not necessarily the good guys. They're the ones that rebelled. They're actually shown judgment. You go to Psalm 82. They were referred to as sons of God. These sort of principalities and powers over nations, and so they're no good. They're the bad guys. They're the bad influence, and so nobody's really free from that. So it's not so much looking at it from the strictly fleshly geopolitical perspective, but it is interesting to see that the West now taking on a more atheistic, or at least they'll say scientific, approach to policy or just world affairs, and blaming Putin as leveraging religion to carry out his agenda, which is nothing new in the United States. And it's sort of almost a battle over who gets to carry that narrative out, when in reality, the real church is out there. It's doing their thing, living day to day, trying to spread the gospel. Love God, love your neighbor, or love your neighbor, and living it out, walking the walk. So there you go. Real quick, time just goes by so quick.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
Okay, hold on. My headphones just fell out. I can't hear myself. Give me 1 second. This is a disaster happening, unfolding, live, on air, live to tape. Okay, what are we doing? All right, real quick. HAARP. This is gi.alaska.edu. So it's an actual education facility or outlet. HAARP to begin largest set of experiments at its new observatory. Bouncing a signal off the moon, learning more about a mysterious polar light, sending a beam to Jupiter. Those are just some of the 13 experiments for a packed 10 days of science beginning Wednesday at the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, HAARP. The University of Alaska Fairbanks operates the facility located near Gakona. So there you go. If there's anybody in that area, let us know how the moonbeam experiment, the HAARP moonbeam experiment, and the HAARP Jupiter laser experiment goes. Your familiar sort of things here. JPL mentioned, Jet Propulsion Laboratory. That's where Jack Parsons, the guy who was doing occult rituals, Aleister Crowleyan rituals out in the desert, trying to summon gods and stuff like that. And then you also have, it says here in the article, the experiment consists of transmitting a signal from HAARP to the moon and receiving the reflected signal at the California and New Mexico sites. Oh, good. Beam it back to California and New Mexico. We'll decode the message. The experiment will send, and this is the other experiment, will send a beam to Jupiter and bounce it off the giant planet's ionosphere with the hope that it will be received at the New Mexico site. The experiment will stretch the transmitting ability of HAARP, which can produce up to 3.6 megawatts of power to the fullest. Why does that sound like a Power Rangers line? 3.6 megawatts of power to the fullest. It will also test the receiving ability of the New Mexico site, which consists of 512 antennas. And, it just talks about, hey, we can probably gather more information about the stuff up there. And, it's public. It's more public than it was before because more people know about HAARP. So they have to kind of bridge the gap between the extreme, extraordinary type of stuff and the actual, technology itself in HAARP. I thought they retired a few years ago, but nope, they're firing it back up so they can shoot lasers to the moon and Jupiter. And, maybe it's actually like a laser beam trying to break the firmament, but I don't know. That's just my opinion. All right. Let's do a little party.
Party time.
CanaryCry.party is a website with a tree of links that leads to everything from where to listen to the show, watch the show, how to produce the show, how to connect with us and the community.
Welcome to Canary Cry Party. It's the place you wanna be. So say welcome to Canary Cry. Gameplay CanaryCry.party.
Yep, go to CanaryCry.party. Put it in your URL. Hit enter. Excuse me. And you'll see a bunch of links. You'll see links to Basil's other podcast, Ravel, with Christopher Ryan Gates. You'll see the Face Like the Sun archive on Odyssey. You can also find your way to Canary Cry Clips, which is our Clips channel, where our Clippies clip the show and make videos, standalone videos in each category so that it's easier to share with friends and family. And what else? What else do we do here? Oh my gosh. I'm having brain farts. Yes. If you'd like to join our text message list, text the word Canary to 877-740-3226, and we'll send out a text message whenever we're live. Just another way to stay connected with us. We're trying to be like the robot spaghetti and have a bunch of different noodles everywhere. You got a noodle to YouTube, we got a noodle to Rumble, and a noodle to Rockfin, a couple noodles to Twitter. We also have a noodle to DLive. The noodle to Twitch is it's been severed. At least it's not letting us connect entirely. We brought some great marinara sauce, but Twitch won't have any of it. We're also on Odyssey, but also text messaging is another way to stay connected, as well as the newsletter. Just all the things. Go back to canarycry.party. You'll see everything there. And let's thank some producers.
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
You heard Robo Basil earlier. We are a podcast that operates on value for value, which means we do not take any kind of corporate advertising dollars, ones perhaps shaped by the likes of Klaus. Not that Klaus, the one that just passed away. Klaus Krippendorff, the man that no one really knows about behind the scenes, who influenced advertising and cybernetics, because it all has to do with loops, folks, trapping you into a loop, keep you scrolling for days. But we're not going to do that. We're not going to exploit that attention here. That's not what we do. Instead, we just provide value, and we ask that you provide value back in the form of time, talent, and treasure. And we like to thank those people, because without them, the show does not happen. The show does not remain free and open for everybody to check out, even though Susan sometimes puts a hammer, and of course Twitch already, cut off that noodle. Let's see. We already thanked our executive producer for today, who was Gravemind. Gravemind, thank you for your executive producership. But there are other producers to thank, starting with Morv. Thank you, Morv. He comes in with 1111 and is on a 157 episode streak. Thank you very much, Sir Morv. Next up, we have Sir LX Protocol, V2 Knight of the Barian Protocol. Comes in with a pocket full of sevens and a message that goes, "It's Wednesday, my dudes."
It is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday, my dudes.
Sorry, I had a cat invasion there. Thank you, Sir Alex Protocol. Oh, the note continues. Thanks for all you do. May God bless both of you too. Thank you very much. Yeah, yes, the blessing goes to real flesh Basil, not Robo Basil. We don't need to be blessing robots around here. It's not what we do. So, there you go. Thank you very much, Alex Protocol. He's a protocol too. He's Alex Protocol V2. Oh, great. Maybe it is for Robo Basil. It's one protocol to another. That's all we are, protocols, nodes on the network. All right, thank you very much. Next up, well, that's it for, wow, what a short list for producers over the $7.77 line, which allows you, lets you send us a note that we may read on the air. Is that right? I don't know. I need Robo Basil to articulate some of that better. What you got, Robot Basil? You got anything to help me out here?
ラザルダザルバザル
Appreciate your contributions. All right, those who came in under 777, we've got Sir Casey the Shield Knight coming in with 223 episodes in a row.
Oh yeah, streakalicious.
And we're supposed to have a 233 jingle. Well, let me double check real quick, see if anybody came through with that. Not seeing one at the moment. Let's see. Quick refresh here. Tickety talk. Yeah, no one stepped up for the 223, huh? Interesting. The only one that stepped up was and that's nothing against our producers. I know people are busy. I know there's this is a voluntary thing, so we understand. But who was it? It was the what was that article? I'm trying to find it now. The Decoding the Brain knows that the new material Or the chip. Oh, that's right. The chip that can transmit all the internet's traffic every second. The microchip came through with the 223 data chunks. 223 data chunk streak. Sir Casey, the Shield Knight. Congratulations. It's the best I can do. And I didn't even plan for it. It just happened that way. Thank you, Sir Casey, the Shield Knight, for your commitment to be our leading streaker here on Canary Cry News Talk. But not too far behind is Sir Scott, Knight of Truth. 212 episodes in a row.
Oh yeah, Streakalicious.
Thank you very much, Sir Scott. Then we got Sir Darren, Knight of the Hungry Pandas, on a 63 episode streak. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong streak jingle. Thank you, Sir Darren. Next up, we have Dame Gale, Canary, Whisperer, and Lady of the X's and O's on a 188 episode streak.
Women rule!
Thank you, Dame Gale. And we also have Runk Smash coming in with 8 episodes in a row. He'll be lit on the next one. Okay. I think that is it for today. So far, you can always go to canarycryradio.com/support to support us.
canarycryradio.com/support.
And we sincerely thank you for your patronage.
Shut up and take my money. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
Let us. Yeah, don't let us. What kind of lettuce? I don't know. Wake up.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
I was trying to say let us wake up, but for some reason I got stuck on the word lettuce. Then I started thinking about lettuce, the vegetable that you chop up and put inside of hamburgers.
You don't know what you're looking at.
What's driving that thing? It's not a space alien.
Aliens. It's unidentified.
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are.
Aliens.
Where are the aliens?
Oh boy. This is Inverse.com. Headline: NASA announces its unidentified aerial phenomena research team to examine mysterious sightings. So it's official. It was official before because the government was getting involved, but now it's super official. We got NASA stepping it up, baby. They got their crew now to go look at things. They couldn't just recruit thousands, hundreds of thousands of people probably on the internet who have done a lot of data collecting and massaging and just looking at all the information out there regarding these topics. But let's see who NASA hired. A 16-person team, including an astronaut, a space treaty drafter, a boxer, and several astrobiologists will soon begin its review of unexplained aerial phenomena for NASA. Why are they getting a boxer? They must need somebody who's been hit in the head. Ha ha. Because otherwise, you kind of see through the gimmick here. But one of these doesn't fit, You got an astronaut, space treaty drafter, several astrobiologists, and a boxer. We need someone that can punch hard. Not enough people can punch hard in this panel. We need a guy that can really just lay down the physical presence. Let's go with the boxer. The space agency announced Friday the members of the team who will labor over the course of 9 months. That's only 9 months. Starting on Monday, to analyze unclassified data on UAPs, peculiar sightings of objects behaving unlike anything we're familiar with. But until the full report is released to the public in mid-2023, NASA says everything will be kept a secret. Really, NASA? Everything will be kept a secret? Yeah. It's one of those plausible deniability things where NASA or Inverse can print this line. NASA says everything will be kept secret. And of course, it's in the context of this particular report, but the way these sort of linguistic magicians work, they can say that they have admitted that they're keeping everything secret, and thus the general public doesn't get to know the realities of exotic craft and things like that. UAPs get their classification due to their puzzling behavior in the sky, which doesn't fit into the known behavior of aircraft or known natural phenomena. NASA will unpack the data to come up with a way to study the unknown. Once again, more bureaucracy coming in. People already do this. They already look at the data that's available publicly, and they analyze it already. Why do we need NASA to step in to say that they are going to unpack the data to come up with a way to study the unknown? You cannot study the unknown unless you do it the NASA way. NASA says their work will, quote, lay the groundwork for future UAP studies. The first phase is a brainstorm to see how observations that civilian government entities and commercial data have gathered could be analyzed. And then they'll look at how future data can be collected. Isn't that convenient? We need more data about these exotic craft. Let us put cameras everywhere. We must watch everything. Isn't that surveilling? Aren't you surveilling us? All of us? If you're putting cameras everywhere? We must find out about the alien craft. Do you not want to know about the alien craft? Then let us put cameras everywhere. I see how this is working. NASA will hold a public meeting after the report is released to discuss the study's findings, an event that curious onlookers might want to earmark. Yeah, it will be interesting to see. The space agency says officials are excited to see what the team uncovers. Quote, NASA is going in with an open mind. The space agency writes in a FAQ website devoted to UAPs, quote, and we expect to find that explanations will apply to some events and different explanations will apply to others. Wow, talk about saying nothing with words. We will not underestimate what the natural world contains, and we believe there is a lot to learn. Okay. Is it aliens? The short answer is NASA doesn't know. The space agency chooses to highlight its search for extraterrestrial life when it publishes new information about the new UAP study, but agency officials have also been candid about where the data stands. They explicitly stated back in June that, quote, there is no evidence UAPs are extraterrestrial in origin. Yes, and all these words become very important. Extraterrestrial. What does that exactly mean? Because it's a lot of implied meaning here. And also interdimensional, which is something that we've talked about quite a bit. Okay, so here's the team. You got David Spergel. Where's the boxer? Give me the boxer, baby. Former NASA astronaut Scott Kelly. Yeah, Scott Kelly, Walter Scott. A lot of Scotts in there. Satellite tech leader. Astrophysicist Frederica Bianco. Astrophysicist David Grinspoon. Oceanographer Paula Bontempi, industry leader, tech trend analyst Jen Buss, Artemis Accords leader Mike Gold. All these names seem fake. Reggie Brothers. Okay. Jen Buss, Mike Gold, Nadia Drake, Matt Mountain. Come on, that's got to be a stage name. Telescope scientist Matt Mountain. Works with NASA's James Webb Space Telescope. I'm on to you, Matt Mountain. Never met a guy with the last name Mountain. Have you? Let me know. Let us know in the chat. If there's did I pass the boxer? Somebody said I passed the boxer. Hold on. Word search. Here we go. Oh, Frederica Bianco is the boxer. Okay. Okay, so he's an astrophysicist too. Okay. Astrophysicist, data scientist, and boxer Frederica Bianco. Focuses on using data science to study the universe. Bianco is a joint professor at the University of Delaware, is the principal investigator of Frederica Astrostatistics Lab, that's FAST Labs, and coordinates more than 1,500 scientists for the 2023 Large Synoptic Survey Telescope Science Collaboration to discover new galaxies and stars in the southern sky. Bianco is also a boxer who goes by the title, The Mad Scientist. It's a good boxing name. I like that. But, okay, has he fought in professional fights? He's probably done some fights. But, okay, all right. So they're using his boxing thing hobby, maybe dabbling professional boxer thing as a way to include in the headlines here for this group, just to have some kind of relevance to society or something. I don't know. All right. I'm more interested in Matt Mountain. Hey, Mr. Mountain. Can we move you? Can our faith move you, Mr. Mountain? All right. Dad jokes are getting out of control here. Let's continue on here. We got some building back better.
From the ashes of their woes, we'll build a better one. Build back better. Build back better. Blah, blah, blah. Build back better. We will build Babylon better. This time, a new world order.
CNBC.com, flying taxis, robotic avatars, and holograms. Saudi Arabia pushes ahead with its sci-fi city vision. We just talked about smart cities in the last episode, and we talked about all these oligarchs, these kings around the world, creating these hubs of internet / physical world sort of portals, if you will. And one of them was Neom, the Saudi Arabia project. And it just so happens that CNBC published an article about Neom yesterday, I think. So maybe they're listening to our show and they're getting cues. Dubai, United Arab Emirates. If you've been seeing mysterious Blade Runner type ads popping up on your phone recently for Neom in Saudi Arabia and wondered what on earth you're looking at, it's not surprising. This futuristic desert development is eye-popping in its ambition. With a mammoth budget of $500 billion, Neom is a key element in Saudi's Vision 2030 plan, originally launched back in 2016 as part of the kingdom's mission to diversify away from its oil-dependent economy. Excavation work started this month along the entire length of the project. The development has received its fair share of skepticism around feasibility, with a raft of articles and publications ranging from The Guardian to the Financial Times, including commentary from architects who conclude the project is a pipe dream. Other critics note its carbon emission among broader concerns. Located on the coastal strip of Tabuk in the northwest of the country, there are 3 areas of Neom that have been officially announced, primarily The Line, a linear city with utopian vistas, straight out of a Hollywood movie, composed of 2 parallel skyscrapers. Parallel skyscrapers, huh? I don't know. Is there something in our recent memory about like a pair of skyscrapers? I don't know. Rings a bell, but I'm not quite sure. Composed of 2 parallel skyscrapers that cut right through the desert for 170 kilometers from the coast to the mountains. Ooh, is Matt Mountain there? The line will be 200 meters wide and soar to a height of 500 meters, higher than most of the world's towers. And for an added surreal touch, will be encased on all sides with gigantic mirrors. Okay. The project is based on a new concept of, quote, zero-gravity urbanism, which is the idea of layering city functions vertically while enabling inhabitants to move seamlessly in 3 directions, up, down, and across. When completed, it could accommodate up to 9 million residents. Neom political map of the 500 billion, There was one part. Quote, I want to be clear about this. Neom is a complex, bold, and highly ambitious undertaking and is most certainly not an easy one to deliver, Antoni Vives, chief urban planning officer at Neom, told CNBC. Quote, but we are making strong progress and it's exciting to see the vision come to life, end quote. The construction of this Oz of the Middle East, in quotes, they're calling it Oz of the Middle East, is only at the beginning stages. There's already a push to lure top international talent across industries such as tourism, technology, and entertainment to come and live and work. And there seems to be plenty of cash on the table to attract talent, with some reports suggesting Neom is paying top executives as much as $1.1 million a year. For those who do make the leap, they'll be signing up for a world of no roads. There's not going to be any roads in Neom. No cars, only flying taxis. Wow. Plus a high-speed rail with an end-to-end transit time of just 20 minutes. Then there are the robotic avatars and holograms set to become part of everyday life. The other planned Neom areas are Oxagon, a quote, gateway to advanced and clean industries. That's a gateway, huh? Which will become the largest floating industrial complex in the world. And Trojena, a year-round destination with mountain-quality dry air. Mountain quality, huh? So it's not real mountain air, it's mountain-quality dry air. A ski slope, mountain biking, sports or water sports, wellness facilities, and an interactive nature reserve. Okay. Oh, here's the other quote that I wanted to mention here. Aside from buzz around mind-bending Neom, there's a larger picture emerging in the world's fastest-growing economy, according to global real estate consultancy Knight Frank. The total value of real estate and infrastructure projects since the launch of Saudi Arabia's National Transformation Plan in 2016 has now crossed $1.1 trillion. Quote, we are currently tracking 15 giga projects in various phases of construction around the kingdom, many of which are now standalone super cities in their own right, commented Knight Frank's Harmon de Jong, partner and head of real estate strategy and consulting for Saudi Arabia. So, again, to the premise that we've been pointing out, 15 giga projects, their own mini super cities within the kingdom. And just straight up, Saudi Arabia, they've always referenced it as a kingdom. But I think as this technocratic layer is built on top of it, we are going to perhaps be much more, easy about referring to certain, not just geopolitical nations, but certain groups. Maybe there is a geographical significance to them, but more so it'll be this mixture of a geography plus metaography, perhaps, some sort of virtual realm-ography, where, it's sort of a nation in that way. They talked about the network states and stuff like that. So it's sort of the forming of that. And, the consolidation, it's sort of a reorg happening right now. And a new layer of technology, new tools to build it, and then it'll consolidate again. And then the cycle continues over and over and over again. So there you go. Neom in the news right after we talked about Neom in the context of smart cities and creating these hubs all over the world. Let us continue on because there is one more important topic to discuss in this segment, and that is monkeys.
Careful opening the closet, because that's where the evil monkeypox lives.
Monkeypox. And now.
DailyMail.co.uk headline: Government lab in Maryland plans to create a hybrid monkeypox strain that is more deadly than one currently spreading in U.S. Okay. Government lab in Maryland. Let me look something up. Hold on one second, because what state was that empty vial of smallpox that was found in a factory? Was that Maryland? If my memory... Oh, that was Philadelphia. Okay, so not the same. But kind of general area. Northeast, man. What's going on over there, Northeasterners? No, there's a lot of you listening up there. The article reads, a government laboratory in Maryland plans to make a circulating monkeypox strain more lethal in highly controversial research in mice. The team wants to equip the dominant clade with mostly causes of rash and flu-like symptoms with genes from another strain that causes severe disease. They hope the experiment will reveal how different genes make monkeypox more deadly and spur the development of better drugs and vaccines for humans. Is this gain of function? Just asking questions. I don't know that it is. But is it? The latest monkeypox study is being funded by the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, NIAID, a research arm of National Institutes of Health, NIH. But the modified virus poses an exceptionally high risk to the public if it accidentally leaks, according to Dr. Richard Ebright, a microbiologist at Rutgers University in New Jersey. The team in Maryland would argue their work does not involve, quote-unquote, enhancing a pathogen because they are swapping natural mutations rather than creating new ones, meaning the hybrid cannot be more deadly than the existing clades or clads. But the news will no doubt surprise many Americans that such research continues to go on in the U.S. despite similar practices may have started the pandemic. Well done, dailymail.co.uk. Not making claims, suggesting the possibility. So, yes, I think this is, we're getting into the weeds, so to speak, the nitty gritty of policy and what the laboratories are doing, what they're capable of doing, and how it could affect society at a much, much more one-to-one ratio. Whereas before it was kind of like, we don't really have a say or we don't have any attention. In general, the public is not educated on enough of what's happening to have an opinion about what the medical practitioners are suggesting. But COVID changed all that, right? The whole lockdown, everything. The temperament of the general public has changed, and it's much more unpopular now to be, towing the line of the ivory tower, the white coats saying their whole piece, whether it be government officials or scientists or doctors or whatever. There's much more of a divide. It's not so one-sided. It's I guess an even match. Maybe I would say the majority are on the side of skepticism for those in power or highly influential positions in American medicine. So, for them, obviously they're showing the capabilities of what they're doing in their research and what kind of stuff they're funding. But I just love the argument of like, it's splitting hairs. It's like, oh, well, we're not creating anything new. We're just, it's okay. Think of it this way. I have an analogy. And I used to do this as a child. I was a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan. I wanted all the Ninja Turtles, but not just the 4 turtles in action figure form. I wanted the enemies, Bebop and I forget his name, Rockspin, whatever. Those mutants. So anyway, I had a Shredder one too, I think. So anyway, I had all these Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figures, and every once in a while, because I'm mean, I like to deconstruct things. It's just been my thing for my whole life. I would take them apart, like the arms, heads, and everything else, and then I would mix and match, right? I'm going to put Donatello's head on Michelangelo's body, and so I can see Donatello work the nunchucks or whatever. I was making these different combinations. Bebop, thank you, Bebop. Quantum Epic in the chat. But when you create something different, when you mix and match parts, you are creating a new thing. It may not necessarily be better, but hey, if you have Donatello's mind and you have Michelangelo's nunchuck skills, you have a new thing. It's not just Michelangelo with his nunchuck skills, and it's not just Donatello with his brains and his stick. You got this new thing. And so the way NIAID and the government is arguing their whole thing with the genetic research here in the monkeypox strain that they're creating that's more dangerous, they're saying, well, no, we're not creating anything new. We're just mixing the parts. So it's not new. It's not more deadly. The nunchucks are still nunchucks, But it's just, that argument doesn't really hold water if you're looking at like, okay, why are you making it more dangerous? Okay, for medical, all right, are we still doing this? Is this how it's always been? We have a problem, right? And so the public is starting to understand what is happening in these ivory tower medical establishments, and we will continue to see a push, pull, tug of war with not just the institutions, but just general sentiment, and that will shape the way these big pharma corporations and everything will provide their message and continue to make money. So ultimately it comes down to that. But I just think it's funny how they tiptoe around and their excuses are illogical when you really look into it and break it down. So that's it. Is there anything else I want to say about this? Not really. Monkeypox. Be afraid. We stopped hearing about monkeypox for a while. So I thought it was interesting that the time that, the news article that came into view about monkeypox today had to do with basically gain of function. I think it's gain of function, correct me if I'm wrong, of monkeypox, funded by NIAID and the NIH, much like they funded gain of function research in with an organization that was in Wuhan. All alleged. No proof. Lots of proof. There's lots of proof. Okay. Let us move on. More lettuce. I don't know. Maybe I need some vegetables in my life or something. Let's take a quick break and thank our producers for coming in with their talent. Break. This is break. Don't just consume the content, but become the content. Become the content. Take a break. You know, I forgot to do the speak pipe last episode, so we're going to do that real quick.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
Go to canarycrynewstalk.com. You'll see a green tab somewhere, either on the right side or on the bottom somewhere. And click on it. It'll give you a pop-up that asks you to record a message that you can record. Send a voice message to Basil and Gons, and you can say hi to us. You can encourage listeners. You can thank producers, or just give a hearty think outside the cage. So do that, and we can play the message for you. We, we had a message from Dame Miss G. Hold on, let me try to find it. Yeah. We were supposed to play this last episode, but forgot about it. I'm sorry, Dame Miss G. So I'll play it now.
Hello, Basil and Gons. This is Dame Miss G of the OV in Deep Rivers, and I have a meetup report for you guys. On Saturday, we met in Inquirer at a coffee shop, and my parents and I met up with another family, Cody and his mom, and we were talking so much that we forgot to document it with a voice memo or a picture, but here I am doing a meetup report for you guys. It was lovely chatting all things conspiracy and government, politics, Catholic Church, our testimonies, how we found Canary Cry. It was lovely chatting. And another family was supposed to be there, but they weren't able to make it this time, but we hope that they can make it next time. And we hope to meet somewhere closer to Ottawa next time, sometime before the holidays. So we hope that works out and that more people are able to join us and come on out. Otherwise, we will chat and fellowship together. Have a great show today, guys, and chat with you soon.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that report. And yeah, it sounds like it was a good time. It's always fun when you meet people for the first time, but there's a premise, there's an agreed upon premise. So you can bring topics up and not feel like you're being chastised or criticized or ignored, which happens a lot. It's unfortunate, but I've had many experiences in the last decade or so, maybe decade and a half, where I come across some information. I'm really not stoked about it, but I just need to converse about it. I just need to process it. And having people open enough to have a conversation with you is one thing, but having it with somebody who understands where you're coming from is very important. And that's part of building the community here and creating all the local connections that you need as just people out there. With just people that are near you physically, geographically, that is very important. So thank you very much, Dame Miss G, for leading the charge there out in Ottawa. It sounds like you guys want to do another one real soon. So if you're in that general direction, definitely connect with Dame Miss G and, figure out another meetup happening in the next few weeks. So thank you for the report. All right, let's do some audio production.
Audio production. Productions.
I have so many tabs and windows and different things that sometimes I get lost in what I'm supposed to be doing. But we're doing some audio production, which is producers who come in using their talent, giving us different files of audio, whether they be jingles or ISOs or something along those lines. And we're back to Brother G. He sent us 54 different ISOs and jingles and, all the stuff. So we're going to play some. Again, I'm having a hard time keeping track of which ones we've played. So let's go with this one. Locust Prehistoric DNA.
The locust prehistoric DNA has made them stronger than they should be. They're multiplying like crazy, and they're not dying. What part of this don't you understand?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty straightforward. What about I'm a reptoid clone?
I'm a reptoid clone of John Wayne and Elvis.
Is Alex saying he is or there is? Oh, I don't know. What about nightmares? This sounds like a nightmare.
Oh, who knows what nightmares we have created?
Yeah, very true. Yeah, with all the cloning going on that we don't know about. Pretty sure owns spaghetti-handed robot arms. Yeah, I'm sure there's some real wild, crazy things happening out there. Thank you very much, Brother G. We will continue to play some of those ISOs and jingles that you provided there. So appreciate it. Let's move on to art.
One art, please.
And we kick it off with Dame Allie of the Skillet Nation. Where are you, Dame Allie Button? There you are.
One art, please. One art, please. Another one from Allie now. Here it is.
New British PM Rishi Sunak, a Dame Ebony Blaze haiku. Richer than King Charles, he, quote, is the establishment and, quote, an inside man. Stanford and Oxford educated. Career start, New York Goldman Sachs. Plus, bucks by marriage. Wife's dad founded Infosys. Bequeathed self-made wealth. Former I don't know that word. Exchequer? Chancellor? Treasury Secretary, Parliament member, visited palace, had photo op with King Charles. Glimpse of the future. Yes, and Ali has created a portrait of the new British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, and accompanying it was the haiku by Dame Ebony Blaze there. And gosh, what is that word? EXCHEQUER. Somebody in the chat tell me how I pronounce that. Eschiquer? Yeah, I don't know. I am not familiar with that word. This is another one of those words I don't think I've come across at any point in my English adventures. But I'm sure it's something. I can look it up. But anyway, thank you very much, Dame Allie and Dame Ebony Blaze. Yes, this is a portrait of PM Sunak. Very well done. He's got a bright smile. Just a little bit of the crow's feet around the eyes, just lightly, straight teeth, good smile. And you zoom into those eyes, and what you see there is not whole. It's very vertical looking eyes there. So thank you very much. Next up, we have Sir Dove, Knight of Rosbotia.
One art piece from Dove.
A note. Piece for today's artwork. I made a sticker design for the lieutenant governor currently running for senator of my state, John Fetterman. Yes, we reported on John Fetterman. He was the guy who's attached to a machine that decodes words for him because he can't understand words or something. I forget the exact thing, but he's definitely, semi-cybernetic. For today's artwork, I made a sticker design for the lieutenant governor currently running for senator of my state, John Fetterman. The debate between him and Dr. Oz was last night, and it was honestly painful to watch. We have to always remember to pray for these people. Amen to that, Sir. That is very important. Yeah, these politicians and these people, we tend to it's easy and fun sometimes to, create caricatures out of them and talk about them in that way, but they are human beings, but, they did decide to be in this line of profession, which comes along with it an entire persona and whatnot. So, also, if the choices are Fetterman and Dr. Oz for my senator, seems like a pretty good time to get on up out of this state. Sir Dove, I'm telling you, there's not going to be many places to go as things unfold here. He continues, but I made an illustration of him as Boba Fett after the cyborg story you did on him last week. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do. I'll keep praying for yins. And yeah, that's what he did. The picture here, it says vote Boba Fetterman. Boba Fetterman. And it's Boba Fett with his helmet off, and you can see clearly that it is actually John Fetterman under that mask, or the helmet there. He's holding a laptop in his hand, an Apple laptop. At the bottom it says, Canary cried, .party. And I hear he's a very, very tall man. So, yeah. And interestingly enough, I know, Dove, you had a little extra note there, Dove, that I know we're not going to report here. But I was at lunch the other day out in public, and the people next to us, I wasn't eavesdropping, they were just very loud, and they were talking about Fetterman, and they were saying how this guy is like 6'8", and he's just and then they started talking about football. But I was like, did they just mention John Fetterman, the cyborg senator guy running? It's happening, folks. People are really starting to recognize what is happening to our society. And so is Sir Dove. And he documents all of it in such an interesting way with this art, as do the other producers. Thank you very much, Sir Dove, Knight of Respeltia. All right, and let's see. What is this thing here? Oh, boy. Okay, we have a thing here from Jared C. Okay. All right. We almost didn't do this, but, I decided to, let's just include it here. Jared C. sent us a note, and he said, longtime listener and supporter, first-time emailer. I was fooling around with the Dawn AI art generator, that's DAWN, Dawn AI, art generator app, and came up with some cool pics. The prompts included Canary Cry News Talk, Basil and Gons, Flippy, Nephilim, Antarctica, Hive Mind. Love the show and very happy to be part of the community. Just wanted to send them your way. Enjoy in Christ, Jared. Thank you, Jared. And yeah, these are very interesting pieces because they're eerie. They're strange and eerie, and it makes me very uncomfortable that these AIs are pulling stuff off the internet and creating these images. This first one here, he sent us a bunch. I have a couple here to highlight. There's two people or two birds, I guess. They're sort of, the whole AI art generation thing where they're not clearly birds, but they're kind of abstractified birds. There's a blue one and kind of a red one, and they're standing there, and off in the back it's sort of a dream landscape, like a light green, like a lime green and more turquoise colored landscape, and there's one giant mountain in the back that kind of has a peak of sort of like a head, and it's got tentacles coming off the top and what looks like some kind of all-seeing eye mountain. And then it says Canary Cry News Talk Podcast, Basil and Gons, Flippy, Nephilim. That's what it pulled up. So yeah, the AI, Dawn AI, took all of the words we've ever spoken about those topics and created an image, and it's eerie. I don't like where this is headed. Also, another one here where it has two people, presumably that's Basil and Gons, standing there. Again, makes me feel very uncomfortable to be depicted in the AI world. And it looks like we're in Antarctica or some icy region that has some floaty devices as well as floaty parts of the ice kind of thing going on. I don't know. Looks weird. Don't like it. And then another one that similar, just two people backpacking in Antarctica. Their backs are to where the camera would be, I guess, to the image, and then that big mountain in the back again. I wonder if the mountains are just literal mountains that the controllers just put in front of us every single time we try to do something. It's like, oh, you want a YouTube channel? Yeah, climb this mountain. And then there's another one where it looks like another, just two guys. One that looks like he's got a blonde hair and some kind of bandana over his face. I don't know, man. This is so weird. And it's got like a bug thing and then a robot UFO machine thing in the back. And then there's another one similar to that with a bunch of flying things. Very interesting. Thank you very much. Thank you for totally creeping me out today. Jared C. Appreciate you. Yeah, and you know, we will do it in case by case when it comes to AI generated art, because, you know, it is just one of those things where you type in stuff and then the internet does it. You're not really making the art. You're sort of collecting, you're leveraging the system and the information highway, the network, to come up with these images. So I don't know if it's exactly art, but it's okay. In this case, I wanted to share it because it was interesting and creepy, for that matter. All right. We have a micro fiction.
Microfiction. Microfiction.
By Wrong Smash. Chris ducks into the import shop to try escaping the cameras and screens, and nonchalantly tries looking at the Yee shoes. Yay shoes. And Akon neckties, but a speaker begins blaring something about a super spreader. He has no choice but to run from the city. Yeah, I guess, you know, when they start making those smart cities, what's going to happen when there's a super spreader? I don't think they're going to flee the city. I think they're all going to go into their pods in the city. You know, hey, everybody go to your pods, hook up to the internet. Oh, and we have all these devices and stuff to make the experience more seamless. That's what I think is going to happen. But very good job on the microfiction there, Rung Smash. Appreciate it. And let's continue on with the show. We got one more segment here, and then we'll get out of here.
It's cold, Basil. It's cold. Antarctica, go first.
It's snowstorm.
Antarctica.
Ice scientists are penguins.
Antarctica, they're opening the abyss.
So a new discovery. Antarctica.
Penguins.
How are you doing over there, Basil?
RAZZLEDAZZLE Basil.
Oh boy. Okay. You don't have to spell it out, bud. What about this one here?
RAZZLEDAZZLE Basil.
Oh man. Okay, he's stuck in some weird time paradox language thing. All right, couple Antarctica updates. First up, I was noticing this story a few days ago. The Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, was going to make a trip to Antarctica, but she was having trouble getting there. A bunch of outlets reporting, this one included DW.com, Ardern's Antarctica flight turns back amid bad weather. And it says here that the C-130 Hercules military aircraft she was traveling on had to turn back mid-flight on Tuesday due to poor weather at McMurdo Sound, where several international research stations are based, a New Zealand government statement said. Quote, safety is our number one focus when flying to the coldest, windiest, remotest place on Earth, so it is not uncommon, a spokesperson for the government agency Antarctica New Zealand said. So, yeah, the story was that she's being turned back. But then, yay, she made it. rnz.co.nz, Jacinda Ardern lands in Antarctica for Scott Base visit. All right, she did it. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has safely landed in Antarctica for a visit after being turned back yesterday due to poor weather. Ardern is visiting the South Pole to celebrate the 65th anniversary of Scott Base. Ardern landed in McMurdo Sound and is to travel to Scott Base via Hagland snow vehicles. The visit marks the first full season of Antarctic research after 2 years of COVID-19 disruption. Ardern will see firsthand the research, environmental protection, conservation, and operations taken by Kiwis in Antarctica and experience the challenges of working on the ice. Of course, yes, go see what's happening with the scientists out there. But really, let's get to the bottom line here. Why is she there? The Prime Minister will also see the preliminary work for the estimated $344 million redevelopment of Scott Base, which will secure the future of the research hub for at least the next 50 years. Yes, she's there to make sure that $344 million is being put to good use by staking the New Zealand flag in, this sort of Antarctica politics, geopolitics. So there you go. Let's see what else she does while she's there. Maybe a selfie or two from the ice or something. I don't know. But, we've been trying to make our way to Antarctica. And I'm really bummed that Basil's not around today because I would have asked him if he would be eligible to, be the one to actually travel, because he already does a lot of time traveling, in the multiverse and everything else. What's a quick visit to Antarctica? Basil, what do you think, dude? Do you think maybe you can be sort of our I don't know, what's it called? Lab rat or something when it comes to visiting, Antarctica?
I am not your puppet.
I can't seem to get a male voice out of Basil anymore. He's turned slowly and surely into just a female robot. Can you say that again? Try to be male, Basil.
I am not your puppet.
Okay. All right. Well. All right. The reason why I brought that up is because Telanganatoday.com has this article. Young amateur radio operator selected for expedition to Antarctica. Ooh. Hyderabad. With a call sign of VU2CU, 27-year-old amateur radio operator Sarabjit Singh Chabra will be in Antarctica as a member of the Indian Scientific Expedition to Antarctica, 42-ISEA, on December 9th. He will be accompanying the team to either Bharati or Maitri stations in the White Continent. Sarabjit, who got his ham radio operating license in 2015, will be one of the youngest members of the contingent, and he's feeling happy and nervous at the same time, as it is his first international trip ever. He landed the opportunity while chatting with a customer, Bhagwati Prasad Semwal, at his startup, Hobbitivity. Bhagwati is also a radio operator, call sign VU3BPZ, and has already been on this expedition to Antarctica. Sarabjit also credits his father, an ex-serviceman and amateur radio operator, for being his guiding light throughout his technical journey. Sarabjit was born in Ahmedabad and grew up in Delhi, worked in HF signals in Hyderabad for 6 to 7 months, and fell in love with the city. Quote, Hyderabad is sort of a hub for amateur radio activity, and I made a lot of close friends here. I'm a foodie, and I still miss the taste of biryani. Okay. He is on a contract with the National Center for Polar and Ocean Research at GOA, and this expedition is conducted by them every year. All right, so they picked a guy, a radio operator, to be one of their guys, I guess, going out to Antarctica. And if that's the case, then I think we got plenty of people qualified out there in the Canary verse, especially if you're like a truck driver or something. You got the ham radio thing down. So I don't know why they're not bringing the class of American workers that deserve expansion. Our truck drivers. They're the ones that should get an opportunity to visit the white continent, the white desert. But I don't know. Maybe it's too racist or something. But I thought it would be interesting to hear what Basil would have to say about it. But unfortunately, he is not here. but he is here in robo form, I suppose. But that's okay. You know, we're just trying to make it happen here today, folks. Not everything is going to hit, okay? We do this thing multiple times a week. Some stories are good. Some stories are boring. Some stories just don't have a lot of juice. But we're here anyway, and we will always be here as long as you, the producers, are producing the show. Let's wrap things up here. We really thank all of you. I want to thank all of you listening and supporting the show with your time, talent, or treasure. If you can't support in those 3 ways, you can always support the show by sharing it with friends and family. That does not cost any money. Just, hit the share button, share it on social media, share clips from the Clips channel to friends and family. It's just a good way to get the word out. And speaking of the Clips, I'd like to thank the Clippies.
Flippy. Clipping all those videos. Thanks.
Oh, sorry. I was supposed to show the visual for those of you watching. I'm going to do it one more time.
Flippy. Clipping all those videos. Thanks.
Emsworth, Faye Livern, Epsilon. Thank you very much for clipping the episodes. And I think I'm talking to Basil, and at a certain point, we're going to really push this idea of actually publishing YouTube shorts, because YouTube is still the giant octopus. And while we get thrashed around and our spaghetti leashes get cut and severed often, we will continue to try to publish material on YouTube, and that will probably include shorts, as YouTube is trying to take market share away from TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. A lot with the sentiment out there in the world of entrepreneurship nowadays is that Instagram is dead. TikTok is really unfavorable because of their ties to China and all that kind of stuff. So who's going to step in to do the short form? Oh, YouTube is. Yeah, YouTube's going to do all of it. So, it's just another way to potentially get the word out to, try to get some other listeners, because I think you all here know that there's value provided on the show, and there are a lot of people thirsty for this type of analysis and information, but the overlords make it hard for those people looking for that kind of material to find people like us. That's the whole idea of all the manipulation taking place with all the algos and all that. So we're just going to continue to do our best here. So in any case, thank you very much to the Clippies. We appreciate you. It's a very important job. So thank you very much. Timestampers.
Timestamp. It's hard work. Timestamp.
Jackie Yu did the timestamps for episode 551, and that helps the Clippies. See, it's a symbiotic relationship. We work together. We're all different parts of the body, you see. So thank you very much, Jackie Yu, for those timestamps. Very important, very, vital work to what we do here. We also have social media.
The social media consultant.
Thanks so much.
Social media. Follow us.
Dame Miss G of the OV and Deep Rivers is currently the leading lady to do social media for us. Again, we keep saying it every episode, but things just take time, folks. We do have some people lined up to step up that area of our game here. So look out for that. Thank you very much to Dame Miss G of the OV and Deep Rivers, and those of you out there, you know who you are, who reached out and who may be helping out at a bigger capacity when it comes to social media. Okay, I think Basil has something to say about this next one.
Canary Crime Meetup.
Go to Canary Crimetux.
Oh.
Come to check out all the meetups happening around the country.
Oh, you're French, huh?
And the world.
Or Italian.
Find a meetup near you and gather with Canarians in your area. Fellowshipping with like-minded people adds so much value to our lives.
Oh, fellowship, okay.
And who better to fellowship with than someone who understands what's going on in this crazy world.
Mm-hmm.
So head over to Canary Crimetux. Come. Check and see if there is a meetup near you.
Meetup?
If not, start one yourself. Just pick a time and a place and let us know. Don't let yourself be bogged down by the details. Just let us know where you're gonna be. and will tell the world.
Hopefully you understood the Italian accent robo-Basil there. I can smell pizza and spaghetti. Oh, spaghetti. Hey, maybe, that's the connection. Spaghetti robot arms, or robot hands, I guess. And now Basil has turned into an Italian robo-Basil. I see a connection there. All right, go to canarycrymeetups.com. Look for meetups happening near you. The next one scheduled is on November 5th. That's in Maryville, Indiana. Northwest Indiana meetup on Saturday. The Cat Cafe from 3 to 5, and then the Aladdin Pita dinner afterwards. Contact sassyfrastbees@gmail.com to attend that one. So yeah, if you're in that area, it's the Canary Cry Indiana meetup. Go there. We also have, haven't seen an update about it, but Phoenix, Arizona, November 4th and 5th. More details coming. It's getting pretty close there. Contact Steven for more info. And then to plan ahead, December 11th, Silver Dollar City, Missouri. Meet in park for coffee, treats, and get to know you Canary chatter at Ava and Delilah's Bakery. Follow that up with a park-wide scavenger hunt for truth, baby. The park offers tons of rides, especially shops, restaurants, and free shows. Very family-friendly if you want to attend that one, the Silver Dollar City Meetup. Then contact Adorned with Jewels at protonmail.com. Again, go to canarycrymeetups.com to see all of the contact information. And again, if you don't see one near you, you can be the initiator. Choose a location, probably near you. Figure out a date and time, probably in the near future. Make a flyer. If you need help, we can help you. And promote it. We'll help you there too. So go there. We'll see you at the meetup.
This is fun! See you at the meetup.
We have so many reviews. We're drowning in reviews. But we don't have the co-host that is supposed to read. Oh, you know what I can do? Okay, maybe next episode. If Basil can't make it next episode, we're going to have Robo Basil read the reviews. I know it's not the same, but hey, who doesn't want to hear Italian Robo Basil give us a little review, for example. Let me try this little thing here. Let's see.
Oh, wow. Common people, no one wants to see Basil cry. Let's pump up the reviews.
No one wants to see Basil cry. Let's pump up the reviews. I don't know if the Italian thing is going to work. Maybe I'm having too much fun with this now. Tom? No, this is Robo Basil.
Wow, dude. Come on, people. No one wants to see Basil cry. Let's pump up the reviews.
Let's pump up the reviews. Okay. All right. Continue with the reviews, folks, and we will catch up on them. We promise we will catch up on them. Thank you very much. Links, you'll see if you get the email or if you go to the show notes on the actual website, canarycrynewstalk.com, click into the episodes. You'll see not just the list of links to the actual episode, but a bunch of additional links. And we want to thank producer Jam for doing a lot of the heavy lifting there. He's been supporting us by dedicating his time to put together these links and all hyperlinked and everything for the show. So thank you very much. And producer Jam, I've been trying to keep up with the politics in Brazil. That's got something close to him. And so there's a lot going on all around the world. It's not just here. There's change happening, and there is clear factions, the Great Reset candidate and the anti-Great Reset candidate. It's all taking place at the macro and micro levels. So thank you, Jam, for the links. Appreciate it. Okay, time to wrap up the show. What do we got? We got robot spaghetti hands that I have referenced probably way too many times this episode. But it's so weird. It's such a weird looking thing. We also have Klaus. The Klaus died thing. I knew people would freak out over this one, so I thought it would be a good hook. Get y'all hooked up. What? Klaus died? Well, yes, he passed away, but not Klaus Schwab. It was Klaus Krippendorff, who had a major influence in modern advertising and cybernetics. I wonder why there's a connection there. It just must be a coincidence. In any case, you should. Actually, now that, we got to change up our tactics. Now that the majority of the world is becoming more aware of the divide and conquer, so to speak. Klaus Is Dead is a great way to get your friends and family to check out the show. Just say, hey, Klaus died. Go listen to this episode. And they'll say, oh, what? Klaus died? And then either way, because somebody will look up, somebody who's not total normie sheep will simply pull up Google or whatever search engine and type in Klaus Schwab dead, and then they'll see, no, he didn't. And then they'll want to listen because they'll realize that, or they'll try to debunk the episode. They'll be like, oh my gosh, got to debunk these guys. They're lying. It's fake news. They said Klaus died, but he didn't. But he did. So yeah, maybe that's what you do. Tell your friends that Klaus has passed on, and then get them interested in the show, because I feel like there's more and more people nowadays who are aware of the whole World Economic Forum thing and Klaus Schwab, and they have become household names, even though they are the enemy, quote unquote, right? It's fascinating to think that all across this country, we have more awareness about this leader of a world institution, such as the World Economic Forum, and Klaus Schwab as a, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a target, or it's kind of like low hanging fruit at this point. It's really easy to bag on a Bill Gates or a Klaus Schwab, and it's become, sort of the norm for alternative media that leans right, the conservative side of the aisle. So, and a lot of people are in line with that. So if you can break the mold a little bit, shake them out of their slumber, because you can fall asleep on any side of the political aisle. So it doesn't matter, that you're a progressive or a conservative. You can be completely asleep to what's happening. So this will be a great way to shake him up. But the other way to do it, the more sort of standard show way to do it, is to grab him by the cage and shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
Yes, ask Noah. Wow, I forgot to mention that today was the Patriot Act anniversary. That was 21 years ago, 2001. Patriot Act was signed and took away our freedoms forever. Yay! Well, there you go, folks. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We will be back Friday, the 28th, and we will be celebrating Bill Gates' birthday. Well, no, it's not his birthday. It's his spawn day. Bill Gates spawned on October 28th, 1955, and we shall celebrate it a week after Basil, huh? Interesting timing. And hopefully Basil's voice will be back. Well, not just his voice, but, well, yeah, his voice, because he's around, he's helping out in the background and stuff, but he just wasn't available to be on air today. So hopefully his voice will be good enough to be on air. In the meantime, thank you for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Until then, Basil, what is it? Robo Basil.
5-7 caje.
Oh, come on. Do better than that. Hold on. We got to do better than that. Come on. What is it, Robo Basil?
Think outside the cable.
The what?
Think outside the cable.
The cable.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
Give me a break. Lives in the cosmos, children in the space lane.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
supersonic space lane screamed to life and the vehicle swooped upward. On board, the passengers experienced 3 Gs of force from the burst of extreme acceleration and watched the blue sky fade into space.
In the back have been cleared to unstrap.
Oh, yeah.
In the back have been cleared to unstrap.
Yes.
We're all gonna
Do
die.
it, Richard. Do it, Jeff.
Feed him more.
Do it for humanity.
To all you kids down there, I was once a child with a dream.
Give me a break.
Now I'm an adult in a spaceship.
It will kill. He can accomplish it. You can too. Big windows, cool. Rocket ship, cool. Space plane, cool.
Nukes.
Cool.
We're all gonna die.
Stuff up.
Cool. Space plane, astronaut, rocket ship.
Previous anchor.
We have Bezos. He's a human. Just look at him. Go to the bathroom in bags. He can go to the bathroom in the cosmos. It changed everything. Wives in space. Children in the cosmos. With your best friend brother. Wives in the cosmos. Children in the space lane.
We are headed to space.
When the news of the day gets to feeling like a maze, it's okay, don't be afraid if you don't know what to say. Canary, cry away. When your brain's in a haze and a headline days, come on, I head my way, I can help you out the cage. Canary, cry away. Canary, cry away. Oh, canary, cry away. Oh, the world's changing every day, each and every way you turn. There's another thing to learn. Reading in between the lines, thanking Jesus for our lives and eyes to see His glory shining like the sun. Run the race until it's done. Come on, everyone. Canary, cry away. Oh, canary, cry away. When your brain's in a haze and the headline days, come on, I had my way. I can help you out the cage. Canary, cry away.
And a resounding paka flies through the air across the world. Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
Rattle their cage. They have a lot of people screaming randomly. Why don't you shout? It'll be their call out. They have a lot of people screaming randomly.
Go ahead and...
Why don't you shout?
Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
He's a Satanist, but one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies.
Armageddon's on the way.
I was alone on the road, going nowhere. When I noticed I was lost, I looked around for a sign anywhere, but Savior, Jesus, my Savior.
This is the way.
Armageddon's on the way.
Goodbye, everybody. And that's the end. And everyone says, oh, that was fun.
Bye, 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 bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.